As global climate change has an increasing impact on our environment and our society, sustainable lifestyle choices are more important now than ever. I'm Stephanie Stone with China Daily. The United Nations Environment Program is dedicated to promoting environmental protection and sustainable development. And joining me here today are Ms. Andersen, Executive Director of UNEP, and Ms. Li Bingbing, Goodwill Ambassador for UNEP. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Now, recently, especially as you know, Beijing has experienced some of the heaviest rainfall it's had in 140 years. Widespread flooding, a heat wave has swept across Europe. There are forest fires in North America. What are your feelings about these increased instances of severe weather around the world? Ms. Andersen, we'll start with you.
What we are seeing is obviously deeply disturbing, but it's not surprising. A deep concern, because climate change is not the future, climate change is here and now, but also a deep commitment that we have to make this change. That's what UNEP works for, and that's why, amongst others, that I'm here in beautiful China, in Beijing, because the government has opened its doors and we're having deep discussions with other partners on the Chinese decisions and policies and how they are moving forward on this matter with great determination to make change.
And Ms. Li, what are your feelings on the severe weather phenomena?
Yes, I think everybody can feel the difference. The weather has been unusual. For me, I live in Beijing for more than 25 years, and I never ever experienced this kind of heat in June this year. That we can tell the climate is changing. It's just happening.
So, Ms. Andersen, can you tell us a bit about some of the contributing factors that might trigger or contribute to severe weather?
It's kind of a rolling impact, right? We burn coal and oil and gas. We set forests afire to clear them for agriculture. All of that CO2, that carbon dioxide, is then released into the atmosphere. We got to think differently about energy. We got to think about renewable. And again, big credit to China, because China has invested like no one else in renewable energy. China's renewable energy investments in 2021, in that year, they invested more and put more renewable that the entire EU and US together has on stock.
Ms. Li, when someone might ask you, what can we do? What would one of your responses be to that question?
In my opinions, I think it's very important to teach our children to know how important environmental protection is. We should definitely implement the concept in early education, for example, like textbooks, after-school activities, and the summer camps, films, whatever, during the entertainments, the fans, they can learn how to protect.
Absolutely.
And of course, as Executive Director, the issue of climate change is dear to your heart and very important. What are some of the UNEP plans for addressing climate change, and internationally, what progress has been made?
So there's an accord called the Paris Agreement. We, the 193 member states of the United Nations, said, okay, by 2030, we're going to reduce by half our CO2 emissions. And by 2050, we are going to be what is called net zero. And so the whole world is moving in that direction. We at UNEP, United Nations Environment Program, are monitoring all of that. Everybody is doing a lot, but no one is doing enough. And so my job is to be okay, can we get a move on here? And if we then see great examples in one country of something really that worked, this is great, can we see more of it and much faster? And then being more conscious as individual citizens.
And talking about best practices and sharing those. Can you talk to us, Ms. Li, about some of the initiatives China has set and some of the positive changes that we've seen already as a result?
Actually, I think China pay great attention to environmental protection and takes it very seriously. As you can see, China has risen rapidly in the field of new energy. We deliver 60% of the world wind energy equipment and products, as well as 50% of the world electric cars, so on. And as we can see, there are more and more new energy vehicles with green license plates on the road. So I believe that China in the future will become a global, leader in renewable energy. China is stepping up ecological conservation and restoration. I think you guys have the same feeling. Living in Beijing, everyone can feel that the air quality is much better and the living environment is much better right now too. So we can literally see it's happened. I have complete faith in China environmental protection efforts.
Yes, very exciting,
Yes.
some of those changes. I understand where your confidence is coming from, for sure. So in addition to new energy vehicles, what other industries can have a positive impact on climate change? And what are some of China's achievements in this area?
So practically every industry has a role to play. Let's begin with the food we eat. Food waste is not just the food that we throw in the garbage, it's the whole supply chain of all that energy, all the way right up to the dinner table. And I'm very pleased to note that here in China there is a campaign against food waste. But beyond that, think construction and buildings, very heavy in carbon footprint. And I think here in this country, and this is why we were so happy to give the award to the restoration initiative of
Shanshui
initiative, because it is an incredible restoration initiative. And I could go through pretty much every industry. My point is, it's also a lot of what we expect as citizens and what local governments demand and what regulations set up.
As individuals, we need to pitch in, and Ms. Li, you're such an inspiration on that front because you've been an environmental advocate for 20 plus years. How do you live out sustainable life in your just everyday? What does that look like?
I consider myself a thrifty person. I'm a big believer in reducing, reusing, recycling. And when I go out, I prefer to bring my own water cup, like you saw just now. And if I'm traveling, I would prefer to bring my slipper, like a toothbrush, something like that.
Beyond that, you're also involved in these campaigns like Say No to Ivory and UNEP's Wild for Life program. So your passion for the environment is very evident. What drives that passion for you?
Firstly, I'm so honored to be the ambassador of UNEP, and we've been working like more than 10 years. I am so passionate on it. The more I'm involved in this, the more I understand how fragile our environment can be. It's just as fragile as our lives. We have only one Earth, just one Earth. I think everyone living in this Earth, they have to take responsibility to protect, to take care of the Earth.
So one last question for today, and that is the idea of trying to mitigate climate change, preserve the environment can feel very overwhelming. What words of encouragement would you offer?
There's nothing more magical than standing in the forest. There's nothing more awesome than meeting a large wild animal and seeing its beauty. To stand with your loved one, maybe your children or your grandchildren, when the moon rises over the ocean, and understanding the awe of nature. And I see hope and optimism and determination everywhere. I see it here in this beautiful country in China, and I see it across the world.
I would love to suggest let's take action immediately. There's no time for us to waste. Let's just start with ourselves. Start right now.
Absolutely.
Do something.
As you said, can start as simple as reduce, reuse, recycle. So that's wonderful. Ladies, thank you so much for being here today, for your continuing contributions to environmental and wildlife protection. It is very, very appreciated for sure. And thank you, our audience, for joining us today. If you have any questions or want to learn more about our topics that we've discussed, please feel free to hop over to the UNEP website or any of their social media accounts. In the meantime, I'm Stephanie Stone with China Daily. We'll see you later.